tickets and registration. I need to know you got an island in the trunk. Out of the car, cuff you up, down to the station. Stealing Jamaica,
crawling on the floor, I
stealing Jamaica.
I'll meet you at the hotel.
Stealing Jamaica,
this ain't no sports car, this thing is full of
stealing
tits.
Jamaica.
I just need to relax, I'm just a little tense.
Stealing beaches, some culottes, and a snorkel waves bluer than Nantuckets. Swivel back to my desk with no rum, no shovel, sand, or plastic buckets. Stealing Jamaica,
Crawling on the floor, I
stealing Jamaica,
I'll meet you at the hotel.
stealing Jamaica,
This is just my test, look at all the nonsense.
stealing Jamaica.
I just need to relax, I'm just a little tense.
Thank you. Walking solo, talking hobo, the sound we're kicking in. You, the victim. Open window, techno lingo, the circles flash around you. You kick them. And do you climb into something you don't know? Fit entices and mesmerizes you. Quasimodo, or snaps a photo, the sketchy evidence it might misconstrue. You never were the victim. I'm sure you know. You never were the victim. I'm sure you know. Never thinking what you're drinking. The drink is choking on you, the victim. When girls are breaking, I see you winking. Your antenna is extended here and giggle like you tricked them. A deep down swagger and nasty. Toss down, tumble down, and the bottle hits the ground. They're sinking, hear them thinking. The choice is laughing at you. You pick them. They were the victim. Thank you. Step outside the edge of sight, like the day when I first met you. Hover above, so far away, my feet like tiny specks. Get skied around me, the whistling sky reminds me to not forget you. No one sees me glide, and the bees like flapping rounds down steps. How do you walk down steps? 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 How do you walk down steps when everyone else is going up? How do you walk down steps? First thing you said was, do you love me too? But I knew it was a trick question. Skip the steps and not the rails. You could change what Goog's out. Going down 12 steps at a time. Clyde made one suggestion. Don't let the steps walk down you, and you could be walking down steps. How do you walk down steps? 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 How do you walk down steps when anyone else is going up? I know that I'm going away, and I know that I'm going away. I know that I'm going away, and I know that I'm going away. I know that I'm going away when I'm starting to walk down steps. I know that I'm going away when I'm starting to walk down steps. Thank you.
Hey guys, this is Carl with the AV Club, and I'm here with Mike Gordon and Scott Morosky of an unnamed band. There are 3,000 finalists for the name of their band, but right now they don't have an official name. But I'm with them right now. Thanks for being here, guys.
Yeah, thanks for having us. It's great to be here.
Yeah. So first things first, you guys came out with an album, OGOGO. Great, catchy, poppy new album a few weeks ago. Produced by Sean Everett. Sean Everett produced for Weezer, Alabama Shakes. He did the great new War on Drugs album. What did he bring to the table for OGOGO?
Oh, wow. So much, because he's a dreamy guy. He doesn't live on the plane that the rest of us live on. And so he speaks and thinks and mixes on a different plane where he's sort of taking in influences that we wouldn't think of, like a photograph in the background. And he's going to make that color in the photograph the keyboard sound. And people warned me about that way in advance, and they said he's the most innovative person out there, but he's not always gonna know how to say what he wants you to do with the song. But that ended up being no problem, and the other stuff is I just thought,
he speaks in poetry, like the way he says things. We were actually writing them on a whiteboard because they were so. What did he say about the green crystal?
Yeah, Robert was getting a keyboard sound, and he said, "Oh, that sounds exactly like blue kitchen light at 2 a.m. as refracted through a prism." And at first, we were thinking we might find someone a little more just nuts and bolts about songs, and then it seemed like, well, life kind of exists in that mystical plane anyway. Why not just jump in and do it like that? And then hearing what he did on the Alabama Shakes and some of the other stuff, and a lot of different things. I was Googling, a lot of people, and then all of a sudden, all the signs started pointing to Sean, and I called him up, and he didn't know my music, he didn't know Phish's music too well, and he had 3 bands he was working with simultaneously, and so busy, and he said right away, "Okay, I'll do it." And I wasn't sure why it was so easy, except the universe just kind of brought us together. And I'm sorry, I'm babbling, but we had a lot of demos going over the course of a year or two that already had a different sound because Scott and I wrote the entire last album, Overstep, together, and recorded it. And so we did all the writing for this together, and we already had a different sort of batch, so we needed a different sort of producer.
Very cool. It sounds fresh and very lush, like the Alabama Shakes record that he did and the War on Drugs record. And
thanks.
Cool.
Well, the cool thing, we wanted to be really sparse. So finding that we can be really sparse in certain moments in certain ways, and then really lush and textured in other ways at the same time. And I keep finding that too, as an artist, that once you try to stretch some direction, you're also stretching the other direction. Ooh, there you go. Same with lyrics, like trying to be much more direct, and also wanting to be more mysterious at the same time.
Sure.
I think you can kind of stretch both. That's what I'm finding anyway.
So you guys have been touring for 2-3 weeks now.
Yep.
First time for a lot of these songs on the road. Have you found them evolving at all in terms of like jam spaces you found, any other ways that they've been kind of growing?
Yes, I would say. I would say that as we play the songs more and more, and it becomes more. As we learn them better and they become more, where you don't have to think about what's coming next, it allows you to be totally in the moment and absorb yourself into the groove of the song and all the sounds that are going on. And so as we do that, it just becomes easier to evolve out of that into the jam spaces and all that stuff and bring new things to it. So yeah, I would say absolutely. Songs are growing as we grow with them.
In my world, songs can be 19 minutes long, and most of that isn't the song at all. And after 12 or 13 minutes, you get to a little thing that sounds like a new song. Well, some of these songs on the album are really short, but that's because we carved away the fluff. We carved away the 12 minutes it took to get there, because it came from one of those moments. And like, I think Equilibrium, for example, is only 2.5 minutes or so, but it was the thing in the middle of losing ourselves in a hot, sweaty night of playing where that was the moment. And now we've isolated it, and we didn't need it to be stretched out.
So part of the method for your songwriting for this was you guys were jamming. Did you listen back and find this moment that became Equilibrium? And
yeah,
that's sort of the method.
But that was only one, because some of our process was a lot more deliberate this time, more than last time too, maybe. Where we just said, you know what, we need this kind of groove. Let's just sit there and work with it and churn it out.
A lot of that comes from the process that we use for jamming too. We try to differentiate ourselves from typical jam band by not noodling forever to get to a place. We're really trying to compose on the spot as opposed to just, letting it go completely freeform. We're actually listening to each other very hard and trying to create these non-varying melodies as opposed to just, playing a million notes. And so when you have that intention and then you go back and listen to it, it's like, wow, that could be a song right there, and then that could be a song right there. And so a lot of that comes out of that.
So touching on that, here at the AV Club, maybe 0.5% of the bands that we cover on a regular basis will jam. We'll go on a type 2 improv if you're a Phish fan. You guys are both part of a successful band that jams. What, just kind of philosophically, what is it about jamming, about full band improvisation that keeps drawing you to it and has led you guys down this path?
For me, well, you catch it like a bug where you just get a little glimpse of a peak experience. And of course, this happens with people that aren't music fans and don't play music too in other ways, in other parts of life. But in music, it lends itself to it because there's a flow and there's something emotional. Something in there is, there's a melody that's strumming your heartstrings in some way. So you're already set up for this sort of emotional flight. But then you get a little taste of what happens when you take going back to this topic of taking your own self and your own ego out of it and your own thinking. And it's not easy. I mean, Phish has played about 1,800 times and plus rehearsals and whatever. And even this band's done a lot. And after all that, I still have to remind myself almost every day to stop thinking and to start listening and to let the music play itself. So when you get a little taste of that, it's like, well, there's other things I want to do in life too, but I know I need more of that because it feels right. And it's part of the human experience where I see it elevated high up. So
Sure. So when it comes to not thinking, if that's kind of the goal of sorts of jamming, exactly kind of how much are you not thinking? Like if you guys are changing keys and you're in C, are you thinking, all right, I'm in C now. All right, like now we're playing in 7.
That's a really good question. What I've found is I think some thinking is okay. And actually, I'm doing TM now, but when I did mindfulness and I took one of the various seminars, and the first thing they said is thoughts aren't bad. We're not trying to get rid of thoughts. We just don't want them to get a grip on your mind and take over. You want to just be able to see them as clouds passing in the sky sometimes. And I think there's even an observer that can almost be journaling in the peakest of moments. And I've talked with other people about this. It seems counterintuitive because the peak experience involves from being 100% present. But I think while that's going on, there's an observer. And maybe that's universal. Maybe that's the universal consciousness that's looking in, that's observing. And maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. Maybe it's deeper when that isn't happening. And it's certainly better when I've forgotten to swallow for 12 minutes and because I'm so on autopilot. It takes so much to stop thinking that we've done this thing, the non-varying exercise, where we force ourselves to play one pattern, one lick over and over again, the whole band, for long periods of time. And what we find is there's a universe of music in there between the notes, how the bongo's being hit and how's the, and that's not what we're trying to vary. That's just like what the muse is playing. And that's without the typical, like, okay, well, I'm in a jam band. I can play this Mixolydian scale all up and down the neck always. And this is the stark opposite of that. It takes that degree of forcing us after all these years to stop thinking, to even get it remotely manageable. And then when we do, the payoff is just huge, what we learned from doing that.
Yeah. Absolutely. I'll add to that and say that in the moment, everything that's going on, you're in the room, and I feel it as like an energy that's like coming down on the entire room that plays everybody, including the band, so that when it's really happening for me, I become the observer without consciously thinking of becoming the observer. Like I'm looking around at everything that's happening going, wow, this is amazing. And I don't know what my hands are doing. I'm like paying attention to everything that's going on. And it's just playing all of us, including the people that are listening. And, like everybody's involved.
Sure. It becomes a shared thing.
Yeah.
It doesn't always happen too. I mean, we'll get to a festival and there's a lot of pressure and it's not our fans and we don't get a sound check and it's just a lot of stress. And, you know, sometimes we just get in our own worlds or we overplay
Yeah.
but even those are getting better now because of these exercises. But it's like trying to refine the art of surrender. And
Sure.
it's not easy. It's an ongoing thing.
So speaking of that, just
Yeah.
because this kind of led there, you guys did the Baker's Dozen this summer.
Yeah.
I think everyone agrees it was a resounding success. Trey said in interviews that you guys got really comfortable improvisationally because you were in the same place
Yeah.
and you didn't have to change things. Does that mean maybe Phish's future includes more residencies, kind of more maybe less touring?
I have no idea.
Does the comfort kind of mean that much? To go that route?
Well, any comfort that can lead to more exploration is a good kind of comfort, I think. I mean, people, when we started playing in arenas and it was often the same one, some people said, oh, well, that's boring. You used to play in, like, I don't know, tree houses or something, and this is just the same place again. And I always thought that the music got better because we know that sound check is at this time and that the set, you know, this is probably going to be the set length. And those things are, you know, limitations. Art exists within limitations that make it deeper for me. So yeah, a residency is great. We did our first 3-day residency a few months ago, and kind of had that same feeling. And we were nestled in a little neighborhood and staying there in Harvard Square.
Oh, cool.
And playing there and staying there, and our friends were around, our family was around, and it's a warm feeling too. I mean, the Baker's Dozen was like that too, friends and donuts, and
Yeah.
Scott was there for a couple. Yeah, but in terms of the future, I don't know what's going on.
Cool.
I have no idea.
So you guys are in Chicago. Do you have any favorite venues you like to play in Chicago with either band?
I just like Chicago. I love Chicago.
Yeah.
So any venue's fine with me. I get to spend some time here.
We have done a few times at Park West, and that's been nice. This is going to be great tonight too.
You guys haven't played the Metro, have you?
No, we
least in a long
haven't.
time?
We haven't.
I think Phish did in like
Yeah.
92 or something. Yeah.
I also like going to the Kingston Mines and that place across the street, and
Blues.
I have to wake up for a bar mitzvah at 8 a.m. So maybe not tonight, but generally I like to stay out all night and go to the blues clubs and then do that whole scene. And sometimes it's always the unknown players that are the mind-blowing ones.
Yeah, found some good players at the blues bars.
Yeah, and
That woman's name O'Connor, Carol.
Suzanne.
Joanna
Joanna.
O'Connor.
Joanna
Yeah,
O'Connor.
she can shred.
She's
Yeah,
ridiculous. She's ridiculous.
force of
Have you
nature.
guys played with her?
No, seen her a bunch of times.
Yeah, there's a bunch of them there that, it's so much fun.
Cool. Last question. We've been asking of bands that come in. What do you guys usually keep in your pockets on a day-to-day basis?
Oh, well,
Picks.
I've got too many picks because I keep robbing them out of my urn. That's a good question. So my friend Nina, who's an actress, she was in the movie Bad Moms, gave me this 2 weeks ago. She mailed it to me randomly. And I'm not like a crystal and stone and all that person. It's just pyrite, and it's shaped like a worry stone. And I'm not really that worried, not with TM. Worried is gone. But I just like the feel of it, so I've never taken it out of my pocket in those 2 weeks. Hold on. Now you make me curious. Oh, you don't want to know what no.
Show us the.
Phone, laminate, that's kind of standard stuff. That's it.
Well, thanks again for coming in.
All right, yeah,
guys.
thanks for having
That
us.
was great.
Great to be
Yeah, thanks for having us. We had a
Have
blast.
a great show tonight.
Okay,
Thank you.
thanks.